Welcome to Pop Culture Roulette for all your scary needs. Back
Go.
in back in 1990, The Simpsons started what is now the Halloween tradition of the Treehouse of Horror. And as always, this is a warning that scary content will be coming.
We urge you to put small children to bed. Probably don't listen to this podcast anyways with them.
Just
Good
don't watch
advice.
it. Just don't listen.
Yeah.
All right. So, as stated, back in 1990, the tradition of Treehouse of Horror started. They just put out their newest episode in the last week or two. So we are up to 31 of them, 32 of them.
The last one aired on 10/10/21, and it was season 33, episode 3. So that would have been 32
So
episodes of Treehouse of Horrors.
there
It's
are
unbelievable.
32 Treehouse of Horror.
And each one's about 3 skits, right?
Generally speaking, three
So
skits.
96 skits of Treehouse of Horror.
I wonder
Now-
if we chose any of the same ones.
It'll be interesting to see. Now we were tasked with coming up with our individual skits.
Yeah.
One of us went way overboard with the research and actually watched every episode.
Oh, Jesus.
I believe he took notes on every skit.
Oh my
Yeah.
fucking God.
Did you rank them all 1 through 96, or did you just
No.
okay?
But I did write down the season. So like the first one was season 2, episode 3, which aired on 10/25/90. And then I wrote down each skit. So the first ever skit was called Bad Dream House, where the house implodes rather than living with the Simpsons. So I wrote down what the skit was and a brief thing of what the skit actually contained for every episode.
That's absolutely.
So at this time for
Incredible.
our point 5 here, I will take this opportunity to once again apologize for saying that Justin didn't bring anything to the podcast. I was wrong.
I did this before I even listened to that other podcast.
I shouldn't have said it. That was wrong of me.
Don't get used to it.
All right, so
Me bringing information, not you being wrong. Get used to that.
okay, all right. So I think we'll just start up top with our favorite 3 segments, and then we'll just devolve into a conversation from there. So when I think of my favorite segment, like the one that comes to mind immediately, so my number 1
Mhm.
is the shinning. Segment 1 of episode 5, so season 6. All work and no play make Homer. No, it's all beer and no TV make Homer go crazy. I think I'm gonna
no
call
beer,
it.
no TV.
I think I'm gonna call it go something. Go crazy? Don't mind if I do.
It freaks out on Marge. Yeah.
Freaks
Yeah.
out. Or the. Don't you mean the Shining? You don't get us sued, boy. It's the Shinning.
Yeah.
Shannon. Yeah.
The Shinning. That is when I think of that's for me. That's like quintessential. Like that's the one I think of when I think of Treehouse of Terror.
Nice. I like that one.
That's a good one. My number 1 I put on the list that I think of instantly is the Desperately Seeking Xena episode from season 11, episode 4, where it's the one where comic book guy's the collector and Bart and Lisa end up getting the superpowers when their candy's getting x-rayed. And the
Ah.
machine goes crazy and they're like, we must only use these powers to annoy. When they were Stretch Dude and Clobber Girl.
Okay,
'Cause
yeah.
I always
Now it's
remember
coming back.
when Comic Book Man grabs Lucy Lawless from a convention, and she's on that big magnetic crane, and she's like, must release breastplate. And everyone's like looking with their cameras, and she's like, maybe later. And then at the end, she flies off with them. She's like, Xena can't fly. She's like, I told you, kids, I'm Lucy Lawless. And then she just flies away.
Awesome. I like that one.
That's the first one that comes to my mind of the Treehouse of Horrors.
Okay. My number one, I'm gonna go with Monkey Paw from season 3, where Homer buys the monkey paw in Morocco from that street merchant, brings it back home, and the family makes the wishes on it. And the first wish is being that they want to be rich and famous. And then it plays into the whole, like, the Simpsons are on everything. I'm so tired of seeing the Simpsons. And it kind of like parallels all the shit that was going on. And then one of my favorite lines from this is when Lisa wishes for world peace and Homer's like, don't be so selfish. So
that's, what is that, when Kang and Kodos invade?
Right. Yep.
And then they're getting defeated by Moe with a board with a nail in it.
Right. And Flanders takes the paw and ends up getting like a castle. And yeah. It's a pretty funny episode. So that would be my number one.
All right. My number 2 is The Fright to Creep and Scare Harms. Episode 13, season 14. It's Lisa finds a book, or no, not a book, a gravestone, where it talks about how the William Bonney just wished that all the people would get rid of guns and be, peaceful. And so she rallies the town, and the whole town destroys all their guns and gets rid of them all, only to discover that William Bonney is really Billy the Kid, and all of these zombies rise back up and take over the town because they have guns. and so it's like Billy the Kid and a couple other Western guys, and then Helmut Kohl, like this random like German, like Nazi, or not even Nazi. I think it's a World War I German.
Yeah, it's like a Red Baron almost.
Yeah, like a red. Yeah, and they're like, "But you're not." He's like, "Yes, I'm Western. Yippee, whippy, whippy."
Nice.
That. I love that one just because that yippee, whippy, whippy.
No, the number 2 I got is Clown Without Pity, which is season 4, episode 5, which is the one where I think it might be, is it Bart's birthday, and Homer forgets to get him something. So he runs out and he ends up in that creepy little shop, and he's buying that Krusty doll. And he's like, if you purchase this, it comes with free yogurt. He's like, that's good. But we only have this. That's bad. But you get this. That's good. Yeah. And it finds out that the doll doesn't have any batteries and it's trying to kill him. And then it's just at the end of it's because it was set to evil.
Oh, yeah. Oh, right here. You just got to flip it over.
Yeah, it's the guy just walks in and picks it up and flips the switch. There you go. I think that's the one, too, where Homer's in the tub singing My Baloney has a first name.
Yeah.
It's Homer. My Baloney has a second name. It's Homer.
And doesn't the Krusty doll like live with like the Malibu Stacy in the dream house?
In the dream house.
My number 2, well, it's kind of a toss up between 2 from the same season. Season 7 had a really strong Halloween episode. Like actually all 3 of them in that one were really good. It had the well, I guess I'll just say them both. It was the Nightmare on Evergreen Terrace and the Homer 3D one were both a part of that episode. Mm-hmm. Nightmare on Evergreen Terrace obviously was a parody of Nightmare on Elm Street. And I hope I'm not stepping on one of your choices, Justin. I almost wanted to not say this, but I just love it so much. I mean, they're doing the PTA meeting, and it's so accurate. I mean, the people, they're like, we have a free fire extinguisher check, and everyone's like, no, as Willie's getting burned. Yeah.
They just force him to sit there and wait his turn. Like,
yeah. I mean,
Mr. Van Housen, the house's dad, has the floor, Willie. You have to wait.
expect that episode to come back up here in a few minutes.
Okay. Yeah. Just a really funny episode. And in the same episode, same episodes, the segment of Homer 3D was tied. I had to put that in there too because just was really clever. Okay.
All right. So my third favorite skit was The Devil and Homer Simpson, episode 4, season 5. Homer discovers that Flanders is really the devil, and he strikes a deal with the devil to get the best sandwich of all time. And as soon as he finishes the sandwich, he's gonna be taken to hell. So he figures out a loophole, and he doesn't finish the sandwich. He takes all but like the last bite.
That, I
And
say,
then,
isn't that was a donut?
but it was started. Didn't I mean?
He
Because then
sells.
then he ate the sandwich, and then he
He's-
got taken to hell. And they were like, you like donuts so much? Have all the donuts in the world." And there's the machine that just keeps shoving donuts down his face, and he eats them all. And the one devil looks over at Ned, and he's like, "I don't think this guy's getting it.
Yeah, he's like more, please.
More, please, more."
Yeah, I think isn't that the one where he sells his soul for the donut because he's like forbidden donut, and they find out that his soul actually belongs to Marge in their
Oh
vows.
yeah,
So Devil Ned gives him a donut for a head, and he keeps picking parts of his head off.
okay, yeah, it might be. Where was the devil? Where was the devil sandwich then? Maybe it was a donut. Either way, I love him being strapped down and they're shoving donuts down his face, and they're like, "You like donuts so much? Have all the donuts in the world." More. I don't think
More,
we're getting to this
please.
guy. I don't think we're getting to this guy.
That's awesome.
Which brings me to my number 3, which is season 7, episode 6, Nightmare on Evergreen Terrace.
Sorry, Justin.
Oh, it's all good. That one is probably my number 3. I like how Willie's, he's attacking him in the sandbox. That Bart tries to set up the trap. I was like the 2 at the beginning when Willie first gets lit on fire.
hmm
Because like they're at the PTA meeting and there's a thing that says "Don't touch Willie" for the thermostat,
Yeah.
and Homer just laughs. And he just pushes the button.
It's like, that's good advice. Good tip. That's
yeah.
funny.
That was number 3 for me.
Nice.
It was a tough one between that one and Clown Without Pity, which one I wanted to do 2 and 3.
My number 3, I went with Bart and Homer's Excellent Adventure from season 24. This was the Back to the Future-esque one where Bart travels back in time and meets Homer in high school, and Homer ends up blowing it with Marge, and Bart is like, he sees what his life would be like without Homer as his dad, and he's like, all right, tells Marge to avoid this guy at all costs, goes back to the future. Homer escapes to the future with Bart, and then they see Marge's new life, and you end up at the end with like all those Homers through history that are trying to woo Marge. And at the end, there's just that big pile of all the different Homers. And my favorite part is the caveman Homer. And she's like, even you too, caveman Homer. And the other Homer's like, that's Renaissance Homer. But yeah, really solid segment.
I did have to put a couple honorable mentions down.
Okay.
Dial Z for Zombies, where everybody in town except for the Simpsons become zombies because they have so much lead-based paint on their house, and they finally break into the house, and they're like, they grab Homer and they're like, brains, and they push him to the side and they keep going.
Nice.
Now, Justin, I wrote Time and Punishment, and then I wrote 5 next to it. I don't know if that, so it must be season 5. You got anything for season 5, Time and Punishment? Because I don't remember why I wrote that one down.
No. Season 6, episode 6, Time and Punishment. Homer makes a toaster time machine.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That's where he goes back in time and he remembers his dad saying, "If you ever go back in time, don't touch anything." And then he accidentally kills something, so he just keeps like going back and like just stomping on stuff or just and coming back until he finally gets with a future that he can live with.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gets to that really fancy one, and then he's like, "Oh, I'll have a donut." And they're like, "What's a donut?" And he runs, and then it starts raining donuts. It's doing that weird rain again.
Yeah, or if he had just waited 5 more seconds.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then the Omega Man, where it was the rip off of Omega Man or the whatever that Will Smith movie was. I really liked that one as well. Those were my honorable mentions.
Nice.
yeah. Well, since you're like do your top three, I had to make a giant list. Some of the other ones I put for some honorable mentions, I really liked Oh, the Places You'll Go,
Okay.
which is that Dr. Seuss one.
Yeah.
That's more recent, 2013. Heck House from season 19, episode 5, which is the Seven Deadly Sins with Flanders. I found that one to be really clever. Then one of the last ones is actually one of the newest ones too, that B9 Rewind, where it's Lisa's turning 10. So it's that play on Happy Death Day,
Oh, I
Where
don't
she-
think I've ever seen that one.
where she keeps dying. Her and Nelson are in like this time loop where they keep dying, and they got to
okay.
figure out how to break it.
Awesome. I'll have to
Yeah,
check that one out.
That's season 32, episode 4, aired on November 1st, 2020.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was last year's.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
The other quick ones I put, I've grown a costume to your face, where Marge is a witch and they turn everyone into their costumes.
Okay.
okay.
Geriatric Park. I really enjoyed that one. That's the one where Mr. Burns is splicing old people DNA with dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Married to the Blob, where Homer's the Blob and he's just eating everything in town. And then the last one I put was How to Get Ahead in Advertising, where Homer is killing all the celebrities so they don't have to pay them for their advertising rights.
Nice.
All right. Jeremy, did you have any honorable mentions or?
I would say maybe the Ghost Dad one. Homer looks at his horoscope and it says he's gonna die, and then he has to he goes to heaven after choking or the broccoli kills him. Yeah.
Broccoli is nature's killer. It tries to let you know by its horrible taste.
Yeah. And he tries it again.
Try the broccoli again. You have 23 hours. She kicks him out.
Yeah, I liked that one. Otherwise, maybe a more recent one would be they did a Paranormal Activity parody, which was pretty funny. I think it was called Unnormal Activity. One of the later seasons.
Yeah.
2012 maybe.
Let's see what I got for 2012. Yeah, Unnormal Activity. Found footage where Marge made a deal with the devil.
Yeah.
That's to take their favorite child. They keep trying to take Maggie.
Right. And Lisa's like, I thought I was the favorite.
So they go to take her.
Yeah.
Yeah. That one, that episode ends with they're like, well, how can we get out of this? And they're like, three-way.
Oh yeah.
And it's Homer and the two devils.
Yeah.
And they're like, we need to come up with a safe word. And then they cover the camera and the devils are like, pineapple, pineapple.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say, like, for me, I did write that. See, though, this is where I said it would come back up in a couple minutes. The overall best episode, though, for me, was the Nightmare on Evergreen Terrace episode, because the first segment, the one you didn't talk about, was Attack of the 50-Foot Eyesores. Just don't look. Just don't look.
Yep.
I mean, that for me, like, I mean, it didn't. None of the segments made my top three, but I mean, overall, like, as all three segments were rock solid. Like, that was,
Yeah.
for me, probably the best episode they've done. because I mean, it was really good at the beginning. The last couple of years, eh, um,
Mhm.
like a couple years ago, season 22, they did the Avatar parody,
Mhm.
which was like 2 years after Avatar, and it was
Yeah.
just bad. Like it was just a like like I noticed like with this year, they're starting to do like parodies of movies that aren't horror movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like guys, like there are countless numbers of horror tropes or horror movies, or you could even go back and redo some.
Yeah, for
Like,
sure. Yeah. I mean, there's a
I
lot to
mean,
draw from.
there's 10 Nightmare on Elm Streets or
Yeah.
9, however many there are. Go back and do a sequel, like
Right. For
Um,
absolutely.
IMDb had season 29, or not season 29, episode 29. So I guess season 30 as the lowest rated. Like the fans hate that one more than anything.
Hmm.
But I probably should have written more down about it.
Season 30.
Well, I just wrote 29 lowest rated.
Let's see. So season 30, instructions of the potty switchers, which is when the space plans take over Springfield. Multiplicity, where Lisa has the multiple personalities. And then Geriatric Park is season 30.
Okay, so it wasn't.
29 has The Exorcist, where Maggie's possessed. Cora Lisa, where Lisa finds that hidden door with the other family, like
Oh yeah,
Coraline.
Mhm.
And then Homer, where Homer's left alone and he starts eating himself.
Huh.
I wonder if that was the one where he starts like
that
cutting body parts off and he starts
that
cutting.
that's probably the one that people. That's probably the one that is the lowest rated one.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
season 29. That one.
there's so many great moments. I mean, you've got the leprechaun that's like the
Yeah. Yeah.
there was like the one season where groundskeeper Willie was like the hero in every story. So like the next year, like at the beginning, like towards the beginning of every segment, like he got killed. Like,
I'd say that's the one I think you liked, isn't that with the shinning? 'Cause
yeah,
I think Willie gets killed in all of those.
yeah, like Willie gets killed like at the beginning of every one of them. Like because like the year before he had been the hero of every one of them.
Mm.
Like then you've got Kang and Kodos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
I do like the one when they ran for president.
this is a two-party system. What are you going to do? Throw your vote away? Oh, he's right.
At the end, Homer's getting whipped, and he's like, "It's not my fault. I voted for Kodos."
Or the Kang and Kodos with the how to serve humans, how to serve 4 humans, how to serve 40 humans. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
they just keep wiping off the book. Like,
Blowing the dust. You missed this some dust.
It really makes you remember like watching some of those early ones, like just how fucking like genius the writing was, like some of those moments. It was just like,
oh yeah,
I mean,
I mean,
yeah.
yeah. It's still like part of my Halloween tradition to sit down and watch the new episode. I'm glad like the last 2 years, 3 years, we've actually gotten the Halloween episode before Halloween.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I know there was a stretch there where it was always like a week or two after, and I'm like, it's already November. Like, yeah. But yeah, I would say that overall, though, the quality of episodes for Treehouse of Horror has declined.
Yeah.
Where the beginning of I remember back when Marge would do like come out and give like the disclaimer.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, and now or they don't do that anymore. They just I don't know. There's still some, like you said, that you've had a couple skits in the last few years that were pretty good, but overall, like like I said, like that Avatar parody. Like Avatar's not a horror movie. Like why are we making a parody of that and then sticking it in the horror episode? Like
Right.
What did you think of the Toy Gory one where they did the parody of Toy Story?
was that this year?
No, that was last year, season 32, episode 4, where Bart destroys all the toys and then they turn him into a toy.
Okay, yeah. I guess it could work. I guess it doesn't have to be a horror movie, but at the same time, it's like But I mean, I guess like they took an aspect of Toy Story that was scary. Like you had that part where I guess if you were a young kid when you saw Toy Story, like what the neighbor was doing to all those toys, and like Buzz and Woody were kind of scared by like the creepy like spider creatures that were like coming
Yeah.
out.
Mhm.
So I mean, there was at least a scary part to it,
Mhm.
but you know,
Yeah.
like the Avatar one just seems so out of place.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, definitely a stretch there. I mean, I noticed too, I saw in one episode, I didn't actually watch it, but they did a Transformers parody at one point too. Um, I'm not sure what year it would have been, but like that's not scary either.
right. Yeah,
It's like,
I mean,
I was
I mean,
looking
it's
at the season with the Avatar parody, and the other ones that they had that season was the diving bell and the butterball, where Homer's paralyzed and he communicates with farts, and then he
okay.
becomes Spider-Man, a paralyzed Spider-Man on a dolly. They had the Avatar parody, and then they also had Dial D for Diddley, which it's like Flanders is Dexter, and Homer's telling him who to kill by talking through a Bible.
Okay.
So
yeah. So yeah, I mean, I still watch every episode of The Simpsons. I'm like a week behind. Like I didn't watch last week's yet, but like I'll watch. I've watched every episode of The Simpsons from the beginning. I mean, it's one of the few shows that while I was in college, like I still made it a point to watch every episode. I mean, I used to watch it all the time back when I didn't have cable, or even when I did have cable, like you just put it on in background noise, like because they run it like all the time. You know, I have a lot of the seasons on DVD. Like I've been a fan of The Simpsons from the get go. I watched it when it was on Tracy Ullman. I was there for the beginning, and I will watch it until it's over. I think when it's over, I will feel a sense of relief because I won't have to keep doing it. Um, I'm not one of the people that are going to sit here and say, well, after season 20, it's just been downhill. They have had some really good episodes, but
it's like that with a lot of the shows that I've been on. Even if you take like a look at South Park, like some of the early stuff is strong, and then it went down, and then it's starting to rise back up.
right. I mean, I think at some point they started just coasting because they're like, oh, we're the Simpsons. And then they had to bring in new fresh blood, which is why I'm not as against them changing the voices of some of the characters. I mean, it is a little off-putting to have Carl not sound like Carl or Dr. Hibbard not sound like Dr. Hibbard. But, I think if you're bringing in, fresh writers at the same time, and like you're bringing in kind of a new sensibility and like kind of revitalize the show, like I don't get all hung up on like the timeline because they constantly reinvent. I mean, in the course of 30 years, they've they've changed how Homer and Marge met like 3 or 4 times. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
because they constantly update like when it happened. Bart and Lisa are the same age, and Maggie are the same age now that they were 33 years ago.
Yeah.
you know,
that's true.
you know. So I love the Simpsons as a whole. I'm a big fan of the Treehouse of Horror series. I don't want to see them stop doing it. Um, you know, so I would like to see them maybe kind of get back to their roots a little bit.
Hmm.
You know, because I mean, you have so many of horror movies that they never touched that they could. I
Hmm.
mean, even some of the ones that would be a little bit more tricky to do, like if you're just doing a parody or just kind of referencing it, you can easily, do some stuff. Or even some of the more original things that they did with like the time machine stuff. Not necessarily the Back to the Future, but so I can't sit here and say like, well, you know, they can't do Avatar because clearly, they did Back to the Future and they made it work for one of the better segments. But it's just like Like that, like I mean, for me, like that Death Day one was funny, but I still haven't seen the movie, so like I didn't catch a lot of the references. Which is why, like, honestly, I finally sat down and watched like The Godfather or The Scarface or something because The
Right.
Simpsons constantly reference it, and I was like, I want to know what they're joking about. Like, I want to find, yeah. So, like, if anything, like as much as I hate The Godfather, I say you should watch it because there's so many people that constantly reference it and use it as material. They're like, you should watch it so you know what those references are and actually get the joke.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, The Simpsons are a stable, not stable, a staple. That's the word I was going with. Part of the Halloween season, and and you know, hopefully for a long time. Well, even after they finally stop making episodes, forever will be, part of the Halloween tradition. I mean,
I hope
you
so.
know,
Yeah, you can watch them all right now on Disney Plus too.
Yeah.
so,
My one gripe with that is that they didn't put it into a giant collection.
They have it in it's in a collection.
What? The Treehouse of Horrors?
Yeah, where it's got them all.
Oh, well,
they-
then I guess I don't have any gripes.
Where,
Where?
my gripe is that they take it away when the Halloween season is over. Like it would be nice if they just left it up. Like you could
Yeah.
like, just go to the Treehouse of Horror section.
Like if you
Yeah.
search their collections, it has a Treehouse of Horrors one
Wow, that would have made
Where-
things so much easier.
where it's got all the episodes. It does try to, like, if you watch season 33 or third whatever, after you watch that episode, it tries to take you to the next episode. So you always got to like back out, scroll over.
Gotcha.
So they don't just play them in a loop.
Sure.
I mean, at least they're easy to find that way.
Right. Oh,
Yeah.
well, good to know. I take
I
that
mean-
back.
Otherwise, I can
And-
tell you whatever episode, whatever season.
I do have a compilation of it on DVD that they released. I don't know if they ever made
Yeah.
any more, but yeah.
I mean, maybe if we do this next year, we should just do one on like Halloween specials, like the Sabrina the Teenage Witch, like doing the Halloween episode every year, or
Yeah,
Home Improvement doing the Halloween episode every year.
sure.
Like,
Yeah, I'd be down for that. That's a good idea.
But
Oh.
I mean, ultimately, the granddaddy of them all of the Halloween episodes, like clearly the person who the one show that's overtaken all of them, I would have to say would be The Simpsons. I mean,
Yeah.
they've done 32 of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, just in sheer numbers alone, like
Hmm.
You need to come up with a grading system and make this into a giant bracket.
Oh
Ooh.
God.
I mean, that might require me to actually go back and rewatch all 32 episodes so that I can accurately debate.
Just a thought. Probably not going to do it because I have no idea how we're going to begin to rank these.
I'm sure we could. Well, I don't know how to rank each individual segment.
Right, each
If we
skit.
I could rank each individual episode based off their IMDb scores, but each skit, yeah, I don't know. That'd be tough.
Yeah. Definitely. That's a tall order.
Well,
For sure.
Simpsons, thank you for 32 years of joy, even though some of your segments weren't the best, but your good has outweighed the bad. And here's to, I mean, probably not 32 more years, but hey, why not?
Yeah. Why not?
And they'll always have the PCR Media Pot Smash stamp of approval.
They
Indeed.
will always stamp of approval. So, I mean, I don't know if we finish this episode the same way we finish every other episode.
Sure.
we
Why
just say-
not?
Good on you and call it a day.
Whatever.
Yeah.
All right, well, good on you.